bunny way off in the bushes.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, welcome to Fit for Nights. I'm Chris, she's Terry.
That's Chris.
We've been RVing for, I don't know, 35, 36, 37, heck, 80 years.
Long time.
100 years.
We just look really good for our age.
Don't we though? This last summer, 2024, we spent 70 nights, consecutive nights, in the motorhome, traveling around the Southeast, Florida specifically. Actually, I guess we spent the most of our time in Florida.
Yeah.
And I mean, we did Disney World, the Florida, twice, the Florida Keys, over on the Atlantic coast, spent a week or two there. And then, of course, on the Gulf Coast, we went to Pensacola. We did the Panama City Beach. We, the Blue Angels, you know, all that.
Some stuff we've done before and some stuff we hadn't.
It was really kind of a retirement celebration trip, but we learned a few things about living in the motorhome or living in an RV specifically, full time for 70 nights anyway. Oh, I didn't even think about that. You know, for 30 some odd years, we were weekend warriors. And so our camping meals were typical quick fix, throw on the grill type meals, steaks, fish, you know, burgers, dogs, that type of thing, just quick stuff to throw on the grill. A limited menu. If you really think about what your menu is when you go on a lake trip, it's really a limited menu for good reason. You just want to fix something to eat and
get back out and enjoy nature.
Move back out to your adventure. This is one of the main things we learned on this road trip. That doesn't work out so well when you're living in the camper. That 5-6 meal rotation gets a little old, and it's really, it kind of pushes the food budget.
Well, you know, if you think about it, back when we were young, we used to eat fast food, and we got so sick of fast food when we were on vacation. And we got so sick of fast food because it was all the same. Yeah. So I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so you know, it was in the beginning of this road trip, we made several trips to grocery stores, Walmart's or whatever grocery store was in the area. And until we buckled down and learned that the way we need to operate is the same way we operate at home. We make one, well, we probably can't do it because of the limited space, but I mean, just taking this month, for example, it's the 3rd of January, and the last time we made a big grocery trip was December 5th. This is at home. But on the road, we needed to work out a menu, put together a meal plan of sorts, so that when we went to a grocery store, we were getting enough stuff to last us 2 weeks.
There was one time we froze a bunch of stuff. That actually worked really well.
Yeah, so that worked out a couple of ways. We had a more diverse menu, and we saved money, because every time you walk into a grocery store, especially if it's the big blue store that starts with a W, you walk out of there with more than what you intended to get. So when you make these trips to stock up for a couple of weeks, you're saving money. And that was a...
One thing we did was we got little containers, little spice containers. They're actually not spice containers, but they're little containers, and we made them spice containers. And I took everything that we have in the spice cabinet at home and put a little bit in these little spice containers and labeled them. And so when I look at a recipe now, I can just pull out whatever spice I want.
And I mean, honestly, it's a little bit more pleasant around mealtime. Well, you got more time to make a meal, so, you know, doing it like you do at home and having some of the good stuff that some people do well, you know, it makes it for a more pleasant trip.
But I figure if I get over there and they don't take it, you can help me find another.
I understand one of the criticisms of us only staying for 70 nights in the motorhome, consecutive nights from the motorhome. We've stayed well over that in 2024, but one of the criticisms is, you know, well, that's really not full timing. Well, no and yes. 70 consecutive nights is not a camping trip.
Right.
But
Definitely not a weekend trip.
no. So it's kind of, you get a taste of living full time. Now, granted, we have a brick and mortar, and that's not going away. That is one thing we learned during COVID. You know, like it or not, you know, that's one lesson we learned in COVID. The brick and mortar is not going away. We're going to keep a home base. It's just the smart thing to do, in our opinion. I'm not saying you're dumb. But something that it's a little thing. I mean, honestly, sorry, I gotta make sure. But it's kind of a big thing. It just makes you wonder how people did it prior to internet, full-time living and paying bills.
Yeah.
I mean, every single one of our bills can be paid online. And as long as we have online access, we can pay bills. And for 1 or 2 days a month, that's all I have to do is make sure we stop at a place or stay at a place that we have
Access.
availability. In our case, and we don't live in a big town. We live in a small town in Oklahoma.
It's not rural though.
Our utility company, the city that we pay our water bill to, you get online to the account and it tells you how much you owe, and you pay it online. Now they charge a stupid, ridiculous
Service
fee for paying online, but the ability is still there. And then our electric cooperative, it's the same situation. I get online and there it is. It tells me how much I have to pay and I pay it.
They're cooperative.
And then see, dad jokes left and right. Sorry folks, if you're new to this channel, the dad jokes don't come from me. But it is just so easy to pay our bills. Easier, I mean, it was one of my mild concerns before we took off on the road trip, honestly. But it is just so easy. And yeah, it's just another one of those things we learned. Next up on the list, campground reservations. I tell you what, leading up to this road trip, this one had me concerned, because all you hear, all you see online is how difficult it is to get a reservation at a campground.
And we've seen a little bit of that post-COVID.
Right. And yeah, I mean,
a little bit.
After COVID, when everybody bought a camper, you know.
It just wasn't the same as it used to be. I guess
Right.
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Now, this road trip was April 15th, 2024, and all the way through whatever end of June or whenever it was we got back. So some of it shoulder season, other parts of it during summer season. Now I planned out the first half of this trip. Leaving Oklahoma, we're 22 travel hours away from Orlando, Florida. And I booked Devil's Den State Park, Lake Claiborne State Park, Fort Pickens, Panama City Beach.
The one named after the plant.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but one named after the plant.
One in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Palmetto State
Yes.
Park. I made those reservations, including Disney's Fort Wilderness, prior to leaving the house. That's it. Those were up to Fort Wilderness were the reservations that I made. At some point while we were at Fort Wilderness, we decided to continue the road trip instead of head back home because we were just enjoying it way too much.
And we knew this was a possibility.
Yeah. So at that point, we decided which direction we were going to go. I made a reservation at a KOA.
And what weekend was this coming up?
Memorial Day weekend. Made a reservation at a KOA. We stayed there for a week. While we were at the KOA, I made a reservation in the Florida Keys at Sunshine Key RV Resort. A week, just a few days ahead of time. While we were at Sunshine Key, I made a reservation for the place that you liked. That goes up to a campsite.
With the
bones.
alligators
Yeah.
Sure. It's 1,000 Trails.
Yeah, at 1,000 Trails, Peace River 1,000 Trails. And while we stayed there for a few days, and then while we were there, I made reservations at 1,000 Trails Orlando.
And while we were there,
While we were at 1,000 Trails Orlando, I went ahead and made reservations for Walt Disney World, because why not?
Yeah.
This is my retirement celebration road trip.
We even had pins that said at Disney World said celebrating retirement.
Yeah. And we stayed there for a week. And while we were there, I made reservations at Three Flags 1,000 Trails. While we were at Three Flags for a night or two, I think we may have stayed 2 nights there.
I think so.
I don't recall.
I think that was when you were talking about you don't like one night.
Yeah. We made reservations at an RV park in the Panhandle of Florida, Eagles Landing. That was an overnighter. While we were at that location, I made a reservation at Baton Rouge KOA for a couple of nights. And then the rest of it was going home. So what I'm saying is, the unavailability of campsites is greatly exaggerated. You can do it. And
the reason it was just a concern and not like a huge worry is because we could camp at a rest area or a truck stop if we had to.
We aren't the type of people that get hung up on, we have to stay at Peace River.
Right.
We have to stay at, 1,000 Trails Orlando. We have to stay. No, it's, where can we get a spot? Yeah,
we let life throw adventures at us instead of us forcing the adventures.
Yeah. And honestly, all those places, all those locations that we stayed at after the 2-week stay at Disney World, those were my first tries. I didn't try another spot and couldn't get a reservation. No, that was the first place I tried and I got a reservation. So yeah, a little bit on the exaggerated part of it. I'm just going to say it, clickbait. The burning bush stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to take a picture of you.
But I don't know if Shumac looks like that. I can't remember. The length of stay was something that I learned that it really contributed to the relaxation, the ability just to wind down, relax, and just enjoy life altogether, which, that's what this is all about, this lifestyle. One night, unacceptable.
Wow.
I don't mind driving. I've always enjoyed, but nowadays, I could do without the 8-hour drive. the 10-hour drive. I don't need it anymore. So if I could limit my drives to 3-4 hours, that'd be great. And then,
What about like a rest stop or something for your one night? Those are
well,
that's okay, right?
that's fine.
Okay,
I mean,
because you're not setting
apparently
up.
we're in a hurry to get somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
But when I pulled into a campground, I want to stay there for, at a bare minimum, 2 nights. I want to be able to, for one day, just not have to drive. You know, just kick back, relax, catch up on some things, you know, whatever.
Sometimes find out what's in the area. It's kind of fun.
But my preference would be a minimum of 3 nights. That gives a couple of days. One day to kind of get your bearings, and another day to actually go do some things. In Baton Rouge, we stayed for 2 nights on the way home, and we spent a day at a couple of plantations, and it was fun. I mean, it was great. We wished we had another day. Both of us wished we had another day to do some more exploring, to look at other plantations. So I think 3 nights minimum. My ideal stay is 6 nights. Just, you chill. There are days you don't have to get out and do anything. It's more like you're just, I don't know, floating through life. Like this week, we're at Thousand Trails, Lake Whitney in Texas. This is a 6 or 7 night stay, I don't recall.
I hope it's 7.
But there's been a couple of days where we've done nothing as far as getting out and, you know, going places. We did go to Dr. Pepper
Museum.
Dr. Pepper Museum and the Texas Ranger Law Enforcement Museum. We did all that in Waco.
Mammoth.
Yeah, the Mammoth Dig site. Mm-hmm. So those are road trip type things. And then the rest of the time has been spent just fighting like cats and dogs, and just did, you know, working on videos, working on my book, just doing stuff that I would be doing at home, but I'm not at home, and I'm out here. You know, today we're hiking a trail at this campground, so it's just a relaxing situation, and I think 6 nights really affords us that opportunity.
How can we relax if we fight like cats and dogs? Do we fight like cats and dogs?
Yeah, that's probably the next topic. Hey, one last thing before we move on. We like to wander, so longer than 6 days, yeah, it's a possibility, but we really like to move around. We like to go from place to place.
Yeah, we always talk about just sitting and doing nothing, and it rarely happens.
Yeah. We're not going to do anything today. Oh, did you see this? The next topic, and I think this is probably one that people get too concerned over, maybe. I don't know, maybe we're lucky. Terry and I have been married for, moving in on 37 years, pretty quick.
We were high school sweethearts.
We're still high school sweethearts, don't let her fool you. We get along really well. And I understand a lot of couples don't, and, you know, I get it. I'm a lucky man. I will tell you that till the day I die. I married out of my league. So, but I think people get too concerned over this. It's not that difficult. Living in a small confined area with your spouse, it's not that hard. It's really not. I mean, we don't do anything different in the camper that we do at home.
No?
It's, you know, if we need some alone time, we create some alone time. We don't announce it. We don't plan it. We don't schedule it. We just do it. You know, I sat next to the picnic table the other day just reading a book. that was some alone time. I didn't plan on it. That just happened organically. You know, she'll, you know, work on her pictures on her laptop. You know, that might be 6 foot away from me, but I don't think people put too much value on distance. You can be separated from your partner and still be sitting right next to him. You know, one of you could be reading the book, another one could be, you know, editing photos on a laptop, and you're still hand in hand. Mentally, you're away from each other. I don't know. I understand part of it is because of the way Terry and I get along so well, but I really think people put too much value or they worry way too much about it.
About space and
Yeah,
distance.
it's easy. I mean, it really is.
Well, it's not sacred bamboo which comes up. That's native to Eastern Asia.
So the last couple of things on the, what was the topic again? Oh, our big road trip.
Did you not remember what video we were on?
I'm just enjoying being where we're at.
Hey.
So 2 last things here. One is connection, our internet connection. If dogs are growling at something, another squirrel. We're full of squirrels here. I'm gonna get a video of dancing squirrels. The internet connection, you know, for just entertainment purposes, you're fine with just having one, you know, whether it's your mobile network or a Starlink or something of that nature. You're fine with one because it's just, it's good when you pull up to a spot that doesn't have good internet.
Or then you got the purists that are like, you cannot watch TV or look at your phone or make a phone call if you're camping or you're not really camping.
But we're talking about
The rest of you.
We're talking about full timing here.
Oh,
so
okay.
Get
That's
over
right.
yourself. So, I mean, for recreational purposes, you're fine with just one. There's no reason to get a second one because it's good to just unplug every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed at Blue Mesa, Colorado.
Oh, we were unplugged there.
Yeah, definitely unplugged. There wasn't. You had to have Starlink if you wanted to get online. I mean, you couldn't even make a phone call where we were at. But that was great. There were a couple of times where we thought we needed it. I mean, just keeping in contact with. And hold on a second.
Fitz just realized we're making a video.
Yeah. The dog just saw the camera.
If you follow us, you know he can't handle it.
He can't handle it. He doesn't like it. So, but if you're working from the road, if you need it for business purposes, what have you, then you really do need to have 2 different sources, 2 different ways to get online. You know, whether it's 2 different cell networks, though I think maybe AT&T worked where we were, and we're on Verizon, so, you know, that probably would have worked if you had AT&T and Verizon. But the other option, the newest option, I guess, is the Starlink. So having Starlink and a mobile network, 2 good options to have if you need it for business and whatever. Now, the last thing that, I kind of suspected, we saved a lot of money. Yeah, you take out, ignore the 2 weeks or 3 weeks at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Ignore that. That's,
you know we're not saving money then.
You know that ain't happening. Ignore that part of it because that's an anomaly. That's not something normal. Like our upcoming trip in 2025 is not going to involve a Walt Disney World. It's going to be more of everything else that we did in 2024. We saved a lot of money. I mean, part of it is our utilities at the house. I mean, our electric bill was next to nothing.
Yeah, we turn everything off, unplug
Yeah.
TVs.
And then we're not ordering stuff on Amazon. You know, we're not sitting at the house going, ooh, we could use that. Ooh, I need this for my shop. Oh, I need this. We're not doing that when we're on the road. So there's a lot of money that we save.
We did
doing
order a
that.
couple things on Amazon while we were on the road, but we don't sit there and.
No, one time
Yeah.
in the 70 nights
and
that
it
we
didn't
were
work
out there.
so well. So.
Yeah. But yeah, we just saved a lot of money. So anyway, just to close all this out, yes, I know we were only on the road for 2.5 months, consecutive 2.5 months. Does that qualify as full-time? Well, in my mind, we were living in our motorhome, out of our motorhome for 2.5 months. We were living the full-time lifestyle for 2.5 months. So we did learn quite a bit. Some of the stuff we already knew we were gonna, you know, the family thing, you know, missing family and all that good stuff.
Hey, we're camping, don't bark.
But we did learn quite a bit, and we are looking forward to this year's trip. I mean, just a little bit of background. The reason we don't live full-time in the RV is, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
could see that in the view
Oh,
thing.
can you?
Yeah, I can.
She teaches her grandson, tutors her grandson, so she needs to be home during the school year. And so that's just the way things are. I mean, part of it works out because half of that time is football season anyway, and we got season tickets up and watch our football team. So it's all good. Plus, that same grandson, his parents depend on us for childcare. So disappearing for 2.5 months or more is kind of a burden on them. So
Yeah, I think that was kind of tough on them.
yeah, they deserve it. But I mean, but that's about it. Hope you learned something. You know, I'm sure you have stuff to tell me. Do it down in the comments. Maybe learn a few more things. But we'll catch y'all down the trail.
See you later.